Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you this morning and thanking God that everybody got here safely and sound. I'm most delighted to welcome you all to this National Stakeholders Dialogue. This dialogue is focusing on a government policy document, the Nigeria Family Planning Blueprint, Scale-Up Plan. A policy document was developed by the government of Nigeria with support from FP stakeholders to scale up FP as a means of reducing the country's unacceptably high maternal mortality ratio. The national dialogue is being convened by the Federal Ministry of Health in collaboration with AAFP and PACFA projects, Pathfinder International, Society for Family Health, the Nigerian Urban Health Initiative NURI 2, and the Palladium Group. Some of you here present will recall that this document was one of the 3 reproductive health policy documents launched by the Supervising Minister of Health during the 3rd Nigerian Family Planning Conference in November 2014, organized by the AFP in collaboration with Federal Ministry of Health and other stakeholders. The others were the National Long-Acting Reversible Contraceptive (LAC) Strategy and Global Program to Enhance Reproductive Health Commodity Security survey report. It is therefore worthy to know that this dialogue yet again is being convened by the Federal Ministry of Health in collaboration with Association for Advancement of Family Planning AFP with its partnership for advocacy in child and family health and the following members of the AFP: Pathfinder International, Society for Family Health, Nigeria Urban Reproductive Health Initiative Project, and the Palladium Group. May I at this point remind you all that AAP is registered National Coalition of Family Planning FP Advocates. It's an organization of individuals and organizations in Nigeria. These organizations include government ministries, departments and agencies, donors, development partners, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, and the private sector. AFP envisions a Nigeria where every person has access to family quality reproductive health information and services as a right. It is therefore not surprising that AFP is concerned by the low rate of family planning uptake and stagnation in the contraceptive prevalence rates over the last 10 years. High unmet needs for family planning and with resultant high maternal mortality ratio. We seek to identify various implementation challenges in the family planning arena in Nigeria and use national dialogue as a way to raise awareness and advocate with the policy and decision makers to address the identified challenges. In line with this, therefore, the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning, as part of its activity in Partnership for Advocacy for Child and Family Health project, conducted an assessment of the administrative and regulatory barriers that limit access to FP. We found that depth of funding and appropriate regulatory policies, amongst others, were the major impediments. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this dialogue, therefore, aims to get stakeholders to objectively examine the 2 important factors of funding and regulatory policies and how they limit access to family planning. The specific objectives are to familiarize stakeholders with the process of government allocation and release of FP funds to MDAs and then to projects and programs. 2, to review some selected budgets to determine how this was done. 3, to discuss the regulatory policies that limit expansion of access to FP information and services and make recommendations to address them. And finally, 4, identify the critical steps that need to be taken to address the identified challenges and make recommendations to accelerate progress in the desired direction. It is therefore expected that at the end of these 2 days, action steps to address identified gaps will have been identified and specific recommendations made to address them. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I welcome you to this meeting and charge you to work earnestly to produce a document that will help to promote such funding and regulatory policies that will expand access to quality FP information and services as a right to our women. Finally, I would like to appreciate the Ministry of Health, Federal Ministry of Health, all our partners, Pathfinder International, Society for Family Health, Nuri, and the Palladium Room, who contributed to making these events a reality. I would like to thank you and God bless you.
It's my pleasure to welcome all of you, especially those at the high table. And I would like to say that I have been a quiet champion or advocate of women's health and a believer that no woman should die from childbirth. And especially when people keep having children and because they are looking for a boy, they keep having children. I know a lady, she had, in fact, many years ago, we were in the UK, and she's a Nigerian from Delta. She had 8 daughters.
Wow.
Then the 9th one was a boy, and she believed that the era of boys have come. She had the 10th baby. It was a girl. Nobody told her to stop. Secondly, my interest has been fanned by the fact that I lost my mother when I was 9 years old from, they say, secondary postpartum hemorrhage. She had a baby. On the 11th day, she started bleeding. I hadn't even started menstruating. I was so sure I'm her only daughter. As the sight of so much blood, and then somewhere along the line they took her to the hospital with the baby. Next thing I saw was my mother's corpse. And that has left a very indelible mark in my mind. 6 months and 2 days later, my little brother died also, I believe from pneumonia. So this is why I always feel strongly and support whatever can be done to assist to ensure that women good maternal health. And that is why when I was on the board of the Commonwealth Association for Public Administration, we took the MSS program to India and we won a prize. I championed that. So I'm glad that we are gathered here together today to talk about family planning and maternal health and things like that. But I think one of the first things we talk about is finance. You cannot do anything without money. And secondly, you also need to have policy. There should be policy initiation, not just to put the policy on paper, it should also be implemented. And when we decide what type of method are we going to sell to people, some people react to one method and the other. When you decide, you have to be able to educate the people on how to use whatever method they decide to use. You educate them, and then you also have to distribute them. If you come from my part of the world, the riverine area, you have to think about how to get to all the small fishing ports around. It's not in the town here. You can jump up on bike or keke napep and you get to where you are going. In my place, the islands is one island, but they have small islands around. There are fishing ports. How do you get to all those places? That will also, you have to look at the problem of distribution anywhere, whether in our area or not. And then when you have distributed, you have to also monitor the effectiveness of whatever method you have given them to use, whatever method people are using, and to ensure the success of the family planning program. So I'm glad we are here today, and I believe that at the end of the day we will come up with some decisions that we are going to take. And I hope and pray that whatever we decide, that God will grant us the grace to be able to implement for the sake of the women and children of this country. I want to thank all those who have initiated this workshop and pray that they will not lose hope. They will continue to do, and that God will always strengthen their arms in whatever we do. Thank you all very much. And I wish us.
Let me start by saying that it's always a pleasure to be among, advocates of family planning. Any gathering in which this is done, it's always welcoming to me. I always take the opportunity with open hands because I believe that family planning, they say, it's the nexus in which we can actually reduce the maternal mortality figures. The reason why women die during childbirth, during pregnancy and childbirth, is because in the first instance they got pregnant. But we're not saying women shouldn't get pregnant. But women should get pregnant when they want to get pregnant. They say women should get pregnant by choice and not by chance. Because it is only that you are more likely want to go for antenatal care. We are more likely want to take care of the baby in you if the baby is really wanted. If the baby is unwanted, then you don't care less, and it increases the maternal mortality figures that we actually have. And when we have gatherings like this, and I see faces, I see men, I see women, I see youth, I see old and the young, I see people that are highly placed both politically, I see traditional leaders. And I begin to wonder, who else do we need? We have all that it takes that will lead us to reducing maternal mortality figures in Nigeria. And what I say is that all what we've been doing is not in vain, but it has gotten us to where we are now. What we now have to discuss is that how can we move beyond where we are? Probably we've been doing things the traditional way, and we need more innovation in this. We need more energy, to move us further in whatever we're doing. People have spoken. The population of Nigeria is quite high. The maternal mortality figure is also very high. If you think globally, Nigeria's population globally, it's probably just 2%, but in terms of the maternal mortality figure, I think we are now 14.4% out of the last assessment. So this is quite high. And how can we actually reduce this? There's been a lot of commitment from government side. At the London Summit in 2012, government made a pledge that they're going to increase their finances for reproductive health commodities. And also donors also did this, and other partners. Since this, we've made more commitments. We've been able to work on our policy documents. We've been able to make sure that at least the supply side is taken care of. We've also worked on the demand side, and to push this, we actually developed the blueprint to say, yes, where do we want to be? How can we make sure that we reach 36% by year 2018? Some say it's an Herculean task, considering where we're coming from and the hindrances that we have to family planning. But other people actually look at it differently. That if we can actually have the support of people that we have in this room, then we'll be able to move things forward. We have government, we have donors, we have other partners, development partners and other partners included. We have other stakeholders, we have traditional leaders, we have the women themselves that are affected, we have their husbands that are other supporters of them. We have other significant others. So why can't we make it? We believe that we can make it if we have this critical group of people. And at this London Summit, that's why we made this commitment that by year 2018, we are going to reach 36% of our CPR. And we are going to make sure that we have about 7 million additional women using family planning. And that is why this dialogue is important. We need to come together in a room and say, yes, how are we going to do this? We know that, yes, we need finances. And someone said that the finances we actually need is not much. In my previous life, I've actually worked in the malaria program. And I've seen that, to actually buy ACT cost about $1,200. Naira, sorry. So ACT is quite expensive. But if you look at the amount of money we need to procure contraceptives in Nigeria, it's just about $12 to $15 million. Are we saying we can't afford this? Of course we can. If we have put concerted efforts to making sure that this happens. So we need to sit together as a community, as a group, as a movement to say, how can we actually push this to make sure we can actually achieve this? It's not for us. It's for women that are dying. It's for our sisters. It's for the mothers. Because we have people in the north that give birth at 10, 12, And by 24, they're already grandmothers. And by the time they are 36, if the same thing happens, they're already great-grandmothers. How can we make sure that we protect the lives of these people? That is where we are in this room today. So we're not here to give lip service to anything, but we are here to make sure that our concerted efforts is actually matched with our finances, is matched with our actions, and is matched with how we'll actually monitor things. I'm glad to be here today. I really want to listen to the assessment. I want to listen to what we are doing well and the areas in which we have gaps, and we'll actually continue with this. For USAID, we've had a long history of partnership with government and development partners in Nigeria. And we can say that, over time, we've actually worked in more states. We are not disappointed. We're happy about where we are, because that's, where we can actually lead to now. But with this dialogue, we'll be interested to know how can we forge ahead to make sure that we actually reach the women, the youth, and also the men that are out there that need our services. I will sit back and listen, to the deliberations that we'll make at this meeting, and I'll be also happy to participate in this. Thank you very much for actually listening.
Pathfinder International is an international non-governmental organization. That is one of the frontline advocates, for ensuring that we, achieve our, potentials, particularly for sexual and reproductive health. We are extremely interested in partnerships to ensure, that Nigeria fulfills the commitments it made concerning the, FP 2020. I think it's, obviously a very good opportunity. We have to, discuss the achievements we have made in this regard, but more importantly also to, consider the obstacles and brainstorm a little bit about how, we can all engage one another, to have a more conducive family planning milieu. So on behalf of, the other advocates, particularly the INGOs, I welcome you all to this very, very important dialogue, and I wish you very good deliberations. Thank you very much.
I bring warm greetings from the African Director of the Foundation, Dr. Kole Shatima, who sends its apologies for not being able to attend the event this morning. We're very excited by the opportunity to be a part of this discussion. The Foundation over the last 2.5 decades has actually been a pioneer, particularly in the area of addressing maternal mortality. And we remain very committed. I can see a few of our partners in the house, including the ministry itself. And so we think that this meeting is something that I think is long overdue, but also to emphasize the fact that while today we are talking about family planning, it is very important to encourage the ministry to actually extend the debate to how do we begin to implement the recently passed National Health Act, which actually represents a major opportunity for Nigeria to be able to begin to address the enormous challenges facing our health sector. We all know what the challenges are. We know the problems, but we also know some of the solutions that have been presented to many of us through research. I think where the challenge lies has been the inability of Nigeria, and particularly the relevant agencies, to mobilize the will to begin to put our money where our mouth is. Yes, I stand with women. Pregnancy should not be a death sentence. And until we begin to actually put our money where our mouth begins, I think all that we say about how do we begin to reverse the death that has become associated with pregnancy would likely be continue to remain with us. But finally, I think we should also stress one fact. Today we are talking about the challenge facing 180 million. By 2050, it is estimated that Nigeria will be 450 million people. By the end of the century, 2100, it is estimated that Nigeria will be about 980 million people, third only behind India and China. You can imagine what that means in terms of public service delivery, the challenges that means in terms of meeting our health needs, in terms of our urban needs, in terms of our waste management needs. So we might want to assure ourselves, well, we're not doing badly. But I think as we discuss the problem in the current context, we should also as well begin to put a future face in it and ask ourselves, what does that mean? And what do we need to start doing differently? My hope is that this meeting this morning will be another opportunity to begin to think differently in terms of how we deal with the challenges that many of our contemporaries who actually also gained independence like us about the same time have since moved beyond. To them, they're dealing with 21st century challenges. Unfortunately, many of us in this country, we are still dealing with whatever century we want to call it, 17th, 19th. It is my hope that we will have a fruitful deliberation, and I wish us the very best. Thank you.
Mama, akwai daddy, mama oh, akwai daddy, mama, akwai daddy, mama oh, akwai daddy. Allah ya sawa mama mu albarka. Mama oh, akwai daddy. The chairperson, I greet all of us seated here in this hall today to celebrate a woman, to make sure that a woman women are not dying while giving birth. Before I talk, my national president, Chief Mrs. Felicia Sani, sent her greetings to everyone seated here today. She would have loved to be here, but because she's a busy woman, she traveled this morning, so she asked us to represent her and the association at all. As we deliberate on family planning today, please let us not forget the most important issues that we bring to come and discuss it here, so that it will help women while giving birth, that they will not die. Most especially the women in rural area. God should give us the knowledge to remember them. Because when we discuss the women in city, and we forget about those ones in the village, in the rural area. We should remember them, how we reach this dialogue that we are going to discuss here today, and carry it to them so that they will know the importance of them being a woman. Thank you, and may God help us all.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the National Dialogue with the theme, Achieving the National Family Planning Blueprint by 2018, Stakeholder Dialogue on Funding and Regulatory Policies. It may be appropriate to remind ourselves that family planning has been proven to be a potent strategy for reducing maternal mortality by as much as 30% through proper timing and spacing of pregnancies. It is also used to assist infertile couples to achieve pregnancy where indicated. Hence, the Federal Ministry of Health has not rested on its oars in providing the enabling policy environment, and the ministry is coordinating and contributing to the basket funding for the procurement of contraceptive commodity for the country. The ministry has continued to collaborate with partners, notably UNFPA, DFID, USAID, SIDA, among others, to procure quality commodities for the country, warehouse them and distribute them to the 36 states and FCT in order to promote access to all Nigerians who require it. In addition of the great importance of access, the Federal Ministry of Health launched the free contraceptive commodities to eliminate the barrier of cost and ensure that even the poorest of the poor could choose, obtain, and use contraceptive commodities whenever they may live or work. In addition to the foregoing, the tax shifting and tax sharing policy was approved by the National Council on Health to increase the number of trained service providers for the injectables and long-acting reversible contraceptive methods. This policy was intended to bridge the acute skilled manpower challenges currently experienced on family planning programming in Nigeria. However, given the limited time available for us to achieve the target contraceptive prevalence rate of 36% by year 2018, as agreed by Nigeria at the July 2012 London Summit on Family Planning, there must be a sense of urgency in addressing the common bottlenecks that hinder meaningful progress towards the set goals, and this requires the collaborative effort of all stakeholders. Therefore, the national dialogue is indeed crucial, and I would like to urge all stakeholders to make their invaluable contributions to address themes of this forum. At this juncture, allow me to recognize the support of Association for Advancement of Family Planning and other partners in convening this meeting, as we look forward to continued collaboration with you. I want to thank you all and wish you a successful deliberation.
Please, may you make a few remarks on behalf of the DA?
My Chairman, the Permanent Secretary, represented by Director Family, Mr. Wafad Abani, another Director Minister of Health, Mr. Apology, Development Partner, Pathfinder, USAID, and others and specific member for the I say Assalamu alaikum to you all. And then I stand on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the entire management of the AFE to thank you all for coming here and for all the support we have been having from you, and to assure you that the AFE is ready to break in hard into the level of soft to ensure that we create demand, and we also advocate for services availability at all costs. And I appreciate your coming here. Your coming here will shed more light in changing the direction and creating demand for the utilization of these services to save more life of the mother and the child. And I believe our chairman here and our coordinator and the management board are doing the best to ensure that we deliver service, or we ensure that we make people accept the services. We ensure that also we advocate with the government to ensure that supply chain sustain. And I bless all of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. And I wish to assure you that the AAP is ever ready to continue to support policy, to continue to bridge gap between service providers, between the government, between development partners and the community at large. Thank you.
I just have to recognize the importance of this great occasion, and thereby I would like to greatly appreciate your presence, ma'am, Ms. Amapepo. We are informed that she just got invitation yesterday and she's able to be here. To me, this is a mark of great commitment to reproductive and maternal health, to the health of our mothers, and of course, Nigerian children who are future leaders of tomorrow. I also want to really thank the President AFP. He has great passion on family planning. He has very great passion on health of our women in this country. I had the opportunity of working with him many years back when I was working with a leading maternity teaching hospital down south. He was working with IPAS. He was actually the country director of IPAS then. And I always love his passion. And I'm impressed that you're able to sustain that passion even till now. Thank you very much for leading a good team to put up this kind of dialogue. This is in fact a time that we need this dialogue most in this country. Bearing in mind the national target that we have to achieve a contraceptive prevalence rate of 36% by the year 2018. It's a very ambitious goal. And without a well-coordinated and all-inclusive activities like this dialogue, we might not be able to make it. So I thank you so greatly. I also want to appreciate Alaji, as he has been described as an Alaji with a difference. I was having a discussion with him earlier this morning, and I was so impressed the way he was handling the issue of family planning in the discussion, as if he's a programmer himself. Honestly, engaging with gatekeepers like faith-based leaders, traditional leaders, will take us a long way in creating demand and improving access to family planning in this country. I appreciate your passion. Thank you very much. And I'm doing all this appreciation actually on behalf of my head of department, the director whom I work with, Dr. Wapada Balami. So if I don't thank you enough, it's just within the limit of what your friend directed me to do. I also want to appreciate all the donor and implementing partners who are here. We have received Google messages from most of the partners that are here, including USAID. My director had mentioned about UNFPA, who happen to work so well with us on issues of family planning. We do not have the reason why they are not here, but we still need to appreciate them, because without them, we might not have gotten to where we are today. I appreciate Dr. Mojo Deku, the country director for NORI, Dr. Farouk Jega, Pathfinder International country director. Population Council is also here. We have Makato Foundation, Society for Family Health. If there is any other implementing partner that I have not recognized, please pardon me. I appreciate all of you. It's also very important for me to recognize and appreciate all the NGOs that are here, as well as civil society organizations, including women group. We are here because of you, so we are very happy that you are part of us. You know how to talk to your people, and we know that you will assist us continuously in creating demand. We know there are many women who desire actually to access family planning. You also help us to reach them and enhance them to access family planning. Parliamentarians are to be here. I'm not sure if they're here, but we recognize your participation as well. The media are collaborating with you on a platform like this. We actually need to do it more together. So your being here today is quite impressive, but be part of us more in the future. Before I round off, let me emphasize that the Federal Ministry of Health, we are committed to implementation of the National Family Planning Blueprint. And that is the main reason why we are out here. It is quite instructive for every one of us to work together on this. Working together will demand very effective coordination. We demand being inclusive in our approach and intervention. So, to the AFP, the BOT, and leading members of AFP, I want to finally appreciate this and also challenge all stakeholders that we sustain our passion at improving access to family planning in this country, at improving reproductive and maternal health in this country. So, I finally thank you all for being here today and for also being committed to be here throughout this dialogue. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.